there, I'm Nancy McDermott and welcome to Nancy's Table. I just wanted to talk to you today about something wonderful, summer berries. I've been feasting on blueberries. I can find blackberries at the farmer's market, and raspberries are in the supermarket produce section, and they're so delicious and such a treat. We can only eat so many of them at a time, and sometimes when they're on sale or when something like blackberries come in and they're here for a short period of time, how do you freeze them? How do you keep them so that you can really use them in the same way that we can use them when they're fresh? Well, I'll tell you, if you take this and these containers and put them in the freezer, they'll freeze, but you'll have a berry brick. You'll have a chunk of blueberries and you'll have a chunk of raspberries, which really aren't useful. They'd be great. You could chop them up and put them in a smoothie. You could cook them down to make a sauce, but it's easier to work with them if they're still nice and separate, if they still have that wonderful quality of berries where we can enjoy them one by one. Same with the raspberries. Raspberries are so delicate, so I'm not gonna throw them around, but I can pick them up. This raspberry, that raspberry, that raspberry. How can I have that quality when I put them in the freezer, like the ones that you buy? Well, let me show you. The ticket is to spread them out in a single layer, let them freeze, and then gather them up into a freezer bag, and then you can keep them for 3 months and enjoy them. So let me show you what we do. So let's start with the blueberries. I've got a small sheet pan. I'm gonna just open them up and spread them out. You know, blueberries, you don't have to be that careful. They're pretty sturdy. I'm just gonna spread them out in a single layer so that they're not touching each other. And you know what, if they touch each other, it's fine, they won't stick. Some things would stick together. But I've spread these out in a single layer, and let me show you with the raspberries, same deal. I'm gonna do the raspberries on a plate. I could use a cake pan, I could use a round cake pan, I could use a square cake pan, whoops. But even just a dinner plate is fine. And of course you could do a huge amount. I'm doing these smaller sizes because my freezer's kind of crowded. I don't have that much room. But you can just do this in a larger amount and put it in a larger bag. Okay, so I'm turning the raspberries out onto my plate. And because raspberries are so delicate, I'm gonna just shake them gently and pull them apart. Get that out of the way so you can see. And move them over into the corners. Ideally, the raspberries are very juicy and very delicate, so they will stick together. So I'm just trying to spread them out without rattling them around too much. I think that's good enough. So now I've got my raspberries spread out in a single layer. I've got my blueberries spread out in a single layer. Let's do the switcheroo. So in my freezer, last night before I went to bed, I put a batch of blueberries in the freezer. And listen, they get hard, they're frozen solid, and I also put in a bunch of raspberries, a small basket of raspberries. I put these in a glass pie plate. Easy to spread them out and see how they're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and put, these are the new ones, these are the ones I just spread out. I'm gonna put them in on the lower level, and I'm gonna grab my new blueberries. These are new berries. I'm gonna put them on the top level of my freezer. And of course, I need to clean my freezer out. The more space there is in the freezer, the quicker things will freeze and the better they'll stay frozen. So that's a summer job that I need to do. But let's deal with these berries. So I've got my blueberries. I'm gonna use a quart size, 4 cups container. And I'm just gonna, blueberries are pretty sturdy. I'm gonna pick them up with my hands and just put them in here. They're hard, they're cold, it feels kind of good. If you can get them in a, gonna have some runaways here. If it's easy to do this without them going everywhere, do this. Or just, like I said, you can do them with handfuls. Just don't hold onto them too long because they're frozen and your hands are warm. You don't want them to thaw out. Okay, so I've got these frozen berries. They won't stick together because they are now frozen. I'm pressing out most of the air. You don't have to press all of it out. And then I'm gonna spread them out so that they are flat, a single layer, put them over here. And let's do the same with the raspberries. This is my 1 pint, 2 cup bag, and I'm gonna loosen them up. And again, with my hands, real fast. You could even, I've got a big funnel that I use for canning. I could put that over the bag and dump them in fast, but this works fine. And you see how I've even got all these little tidbits little bits of raspberries. Because they're frozen, they stay separate, they freeze hard. I can even use those. So I've got my raspberries. Again, I'm gonna start squeezing. I'm gonna push out some of the air, finish it up. Now it's airtight. I'm gonna make it single layer. There we go. So now these two frozen blueberries and frozen raspberries are individually frozen, and so I can take out 4 raspberries and place them on top of my oatmeal very intentionally. Or I can use these fresh blueberries, put these back in, and you know what? They don't need to be lined. If your freezer is organized and you've got the space, stacking these up flat is ideal, but did you notice my freezer's not organized? They'll also work just fine like this. They won't stick together because now they're frozen. I'm just gonna make room for these and keep them in the freezer. As I said, you can keep them for 3 months. They will be just like new. But here's the thing, you don't want to thaw them. They don't need to thaw. If you set them out and forget them, they'll thaw and you will have a very juicy, gooey fruit essence, which is delicious. Put it in a smoothie, cook it with a little sugar or honey and make it into a sauce. You could even stir it into a cake and the cake will be pink or blue because it's melted. But if you, what we're talking about is freezing them solid so that you can use them as if they were fresh. So let's say I'm making my famous blueberry coffee cake, which I will make with you someday soon. And I've got my batter all ready and I'm at the end and it's time to put in the fresh blueberries and put it in the oven. I would have my pan ready, all buttered. I've got my batter. I put in the frozen blueberries, no need to thaw. Stir them in quick, pour it in the pan, sprinkle on the streusel, and bake away. The rule is they don't need to thaw. You want to work with them when you're baking. You want to treat them as if they were fresh and put them in right before you bake it. You don't want to let them thaw out. Now, if they thaw, just refreeze them in a hunk and use them in a smoothie. Of course, for a smoothie, it doesn't matter. The nice thing about this for smoothies is you can take out a handful. You don't need to chop up a frozen block of them. And last thing, let's see, 3 sizes. This is a ½ gallon if you've got a lot. This is a quart size, we use that. This is a pint size. So ½ gallon, 8 cups, quart, 4 cups, pint, 2 cups. I like to have all the sizes because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with them. And remember, you can do the same thing even with larger fruit like peaches or mangoes. Just cut it up as if you were going to use it. Let's say I was gonna make a peach pie, I'd cut it open, I'd cut it into wedges, and I would put wedges of fresh peach on here, let them freeze solid, put them in a bag. If I had mango, I'd peel the mango and put that, freeze it, frozen mango. So for larger fruits, just cut them up, freeze them in pieces, separate, not touching, and then make a bag, same operation. And same thing with strawberries. You want to cut off the hulls, you want to get rid of the green part and cut them in half. Because a whole strawberry frozen is kind of hard to work with. But if you cut them into half if they're medium size and quarters if they're super big, then you can freeze a tray of strawberry hunks ready to go, same deal. So we can do it with the strawberries, the blackberries, the blueberries, the raspberries, peaches, mangoes, as long as they're cut up. And then you can time shift the way we used to make tape something on the VHS tape and watch it later. This is a way to capture the freshness of summer. Maybe there's a deal on raspberries and you know you can't eat them that fast. Have them in your freezer and then cook with them frozen into the batter. That's it. Okay, you gonna try it? Let me know. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with lots of other delicious food ideas. And thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye now.